Now what I want to do is give you some strength and agility exercises to build up the strength in your fingers and your hand. This is going to help you tremendously when you're making chords, when you're playing a solo. And you can think of it like this. If you're a professional athlete, you don't just get to play on Sundays. Let's say you're a football player. You get to practice 6 days out of the week before you practice on Sunday, or before you play on Sunday. And during the off season, you're also training your body. You're doing cardiovascular, you're doing weightlifting, etc. You can think of these exercises as the same type of training that you have in order to play in the big game. So these aren't necessarily the funnest things you'll ever do in your life, but I promise that if you will make a commitment to practice these maybe 10 minutes a day, build up to maybe 15 minutes a day, before you start playing, you'll be amazed in 7 days, maybe 10 days or a week, how much your playing improves just by these simple exercises. So the first one I'm going to give you is a chromatic exercise, and you don't need to know what that means right now, but basically it's going to go like this. Okay, simple enough. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but I was picking down and up. So down, up, and then on the next string, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And what you want to do is take these all the way up as far as you feel comfortable. I used to take them all the way up to the 12th fret and all the way back down. But if you want to go to the 5th and back down, that's fine, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's say I go up the 1st fret. You're going to slide it up, and then do the same thing on the 2nd fret, and come down. Then you're going to go up to the 3rd, etc. And you're going to go all the way up. You know, if you want to take it up to the 12th fret, that's fine. And then bring it all the way back down. So the way you'd bring it down is... The one thing you want to consider doing is playing these exercises with a metronome. I'm going to set my metronome to... Let's see... How about 120 beats per minute. Now I'll show you how this works. And the reason you want to use a metronome for this is because, like I was doing those at 120 beats per minute, well, tomorrow I might try to do them at 125. So if I sped it up, or let's say 130. And maybe next week I can jump it all the way up to 152. And what you'll want to do is keep a dialogue, or keep a diary of your progress. Keep a notebook and say, last week on Tuesday I did these and at 120 beats per minute, and now it's a week later and I'm doing 142 beats per minute. And that'll really give you an incentive to see, and an impetus to look back and see how much you've improved. Now, the second exercise is going to, instead of being ascending like this, it's going to be descending. I think I'll play these with my metronome as well. So you get the idea. Now, I was doing those at 152 beats per minute, and those were descending starting on the 4th fret. And you're going to have the tablature for these exercises as well. Now, the thing is with these finger exercises is I've given you 20 that I use, But you can make up your own. It's no problem at all. Don't think that they're etched in stone. Anything that you can come up with to help you build up your finger strength, that's fine. What you want to be real careful about, though, is going overboard with it. You want to make sure that you don't do anything that feels painful. If you're playing these and all of a sudden you feel pain, or you feel a dull ache, or even most especially a sharp pain, you want to stop immediately and go ahead and put these aside for a day, or at least for the afternoon, until when you come back and start them again, there's no pain at all. So you want to be real careful with that, because if you go just nuts with these, and I have seen some guitarists do that, you can get into some problems. So make sure that you go at your own pace and don't try to do too much too quickly. Now the third one I'm going to give you is simply a combination of ascending and descending. So on the way up, I'm going to ascend, and on the way down, I'm going to descend. Here's the way this sounds. See, I'm ascending on each one of these. Here comes the descend. And I'm descending on each one of these. Now, what you want to make sure that you're doing is, when you're going down, you want to make sure that your hand motion is nice and tight and clean. So on this arm, you want to basically be picking using your entire arm. You don't want to get too much into this type of motion. You want to keep it more like this, especially as you start to learn to solo and get into some speed picking. It's more of this motion versus kind of this style. So think about that as you're doing these exercises as well. Now the fourth one is a combination of ascending and descending, and it goes like this. So that's a fourth exercise you can do. The fifth one is a little more difficult, and you actually skip a string. So instead of starting out on the first fret, I'm going to start out on the fifth fret for these, just for a little variety. And I'll show you how these go. So you can see I was skipping every other string. So you can take those all the way up and all the way back down. And those will give you, those 5 exercises will get you started. And you can follow along on the tab for the others and just even make up your own. But the point is to do a few of those every day, just to build up the strength in your hands and your fingers, so you'll actually be able to play the songs that you want to.